G'day there guys, you're looking mighty fine today. It's your main man Markee and welcome back to another episode of r/AmITheA. Now if you love any of today's bloody good stories, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and get ready to listen to them, and then tell me what you think of them down in the comments. Thank you. Posted by user NoEntertainment9530. Titled, Am I the a-hole for making my 19-year-old cry because I said we have nothing in common and that's why we aren't close? My daughter, 19, and I, 40 female, live together. She's in online college, so is home all the time. We are total opposites. I'm a girly girl. She's a sweats and throw hair up in a bun type. She's into anime, which I tried to watch with her, but it's the most annoying thing ever. She also loves comics, so I did learn about them when she was younger. You know, the basics like Supergirl and Superman are cousins, etc. So we sort of talk about that, but it's hard because she knows so much and I don't. I used to do a mother-daughter book club with her, but she kinda didn't want to do that when she was in high school. So the other day, she said she wanted to talk. She said she was upset that we didn't have a mother-daughter bond. I told her I love her very much, and am sorry she feels like that. She said other mothers are super close to their daughters, and I pointed out that they have common interests, do spa days, make up together, etc., and that we don't have that much in common. She started crying and won't talk to me. My ex called and yelled at me, saying I'm a horrible person. He takes her to fix furnaces and stuff, and suggested I do stuff like that, and I told him I barely know what a furnace looks like and can barely use a hammer, so it's a bit hard to bond over home improvement. My cousin also called and yelled at me. I feel bad, but I have tried and do love her and support her, so I'm not sure what else I can do. Am I the a-hole? I think this is an unfortunate situation that spiraled out of control because of miscommunication on your end here, OP. I feel like you woefully misread the situation and reacted negatively to your daughter's concerns instead of addressing them and offering to help repair that in any way you could. It's not uncommon for kids, even grown-up ones, to take your opinions and interests deeply personally, and I have a good feeling that's what's going on here. She has a right to be upset at you here, even though you do have a good reason for not participating in things with her. Your job was to not prove her wrong and invalidate her. She wants sympathy, and you didn't give her that. I recommend you get together with her and work on repairing this sooner than later, and calling back all those people and telling them the situation from your point of view and what you're doing to fix it. This isn't the end of the world, but I do have to go for you're the a-hole here. Now in the comments, BeaverTales11 says, you're the a-hole. If you had followed up that you have nothing in common with, but let's work together to explore things we both like and do those things as mother-daughter, then my opinion may have been different, as in no a-holes here. If most of your activities aren't for her and vice versa, as you detailed above, there's a third option. That said, no one is forcing you to be close, but if that's something you both want, then it seems you have some work to do. Just my opinion. No one is forcing you to be close. I mean, she is her mum, so she does have an obligation as a parent to have a healthy bond with her daughter. Oh boy, people in this sub will hate this answer. Seems pretty on par with when a dad came here to say he wasn't close with his daughter because she was into girly girl stuff and he wasn't. He was told, she's your daughter, take an interest. Right? And it totally went over mum's head. Duh, I don't know how to use a hammer. That's not what he was implying, Susan. You're the a-hole. You're not the a-hole because you struggle to find things in common with your teenage daughter. You're the a-hole because your daughter desired something meaningful and relevant. She reached out to you and expressed herself maturely and respectfully, and you shot her down with a flimsy, and frankly lazy, excuse. Your child made herself vulnerable to you, and you dismissed her because she's boring to you. Not your exact words, I know, but I guarantee that's how it came across. Go back to your daughter and say something along the lines of, Our conversation threw me because we're interested in such different things. Let's find a way to make that work for us. Let's plan something around insert one of her interests here, then we'll try insert one of your interests. Make the effort as her mother. Don't be lazy about this. And Cheerily Terrified says, you're the a-hole. You seem to think it's an equal relationship and you find things you both like and bond over that. But you are her parent, so it's on you to find things that you both like or suck it up and get interested in things she loves. My mother is not that interested in most things I like, but she's always, mostly, acted interested in the things I like and interested in me and talking to me. And related to that, I'm also not sure why you think you need shared interests to be close. Why can't you and your daughter be close because you eat dinner together every day and talk about your lives and what you care about and are interested in? And OP has left an edit in the post. Edit, I finally got her to talk to me. I suggested some of the anime you guys recommended and said I was willing to try, and she loves the idea of it. I suggested I read up on anime and suggest ones we can try, and I guess we're going to read a graphic novel called Lock and Key, since she likes the show and I like the author. Thanks everyone. Also, she's going to let me try a modified Harley Quinn makeup look on her, one that you feasibly wear in public. Posted by user AmITheA 2021, titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my dad not to bother with me because I'll be gone when I'm 18? So, my dad wasn't around when I, male 17, was a kid. Always working, and when he was around, he didn't do much with me. All school stuff, games, birthday parties were only my mum while he would just be at home. Then it came out he was cheating on my mum when I was 7. They split up, but I stayed with my mum. He never visited, or would say he is, and then not come. I pretty much forgot about him until my mum passed away a year ago, and my life has been crap ever since. Don't worry, I'm in therapy. I got an awesome therapist and talk to her every week online. The thing is, I was forced to come live with my dad. I wanted to go with my grandparents, but he wanted me to be here with his family, and grandparents pushed me into going with him. My dad is trying to act like he hasn't ignored me all these years. He married the co-worker he cheated with, and they had my little sister who's almost 2. Probably won't see her after this, but not like she'll remember me. My dad knows that I don't like him, and literally every day, he bugs me about doing stuff with him and his wife. I don't talk to them or do anything when they invite me. I make my own meals at different times so I don't sit with them at the table, go to school online, stay in my room, talk to friends, go to work or play with my sister, but never do anything with them. When I moved in, I told my dad this doesn't change anything with him, and I don't care if he decided to step up now that my mum's gone. I don't want to connect with him. Even when Mum was doing chemo, he never offered help until after she died. He said he hopes to change my mind, but all I said was good luck. I was off yesterday, and Dad invited me to go out for pizza, but I told him no. He was fed up, I could tell. Said that I needed to start getting used to him being in my life again, and it's better for us to start trying to build our relationship. That made me snap. I said don't bother, because I'm not going to be here that long. As soon as I'm 18 in 4 months, I'll be out of their house and he won't see me again. My dad was shocked. He didn't believe me. But I told him I've been saving money ever since I started working a couple years ago. I'm even looking for cheap apartments, and my boss is going to let me work full-time, so I'd make enough to support myself. Won't need help for college, since I've got grants and financial aid for that. He's been silent ever since and not trying to talk anymore. My stepmom gives me dirty looks. Earlier, she said I was an ungrateful crap because I hurt my dad deeply, telling him I'm going no contact soon, when he's tried to make things right. I don't see what the big deal is, when we didn't see each other for years, and it's obvious we know how not to be in each other's lives. But I guess I was an ass for telling him I'm leaving. Was I though? No, not at all. You did the right thing by him by saying that you were going to leave, and being well set up to do it. You may have drifted into a-hole territory if you just up and disappeared one day, but this is the healthiest way to go about this situation from my point of view. He's never been there to support you in any of your major life events, he's never tried to contact you, and has continuously abandoned you when he said he would come hang out. He's given you no reason to keep himself in your life, and is about 17 years too late to the party to try and pick up the slack now. If he really meant it, he would have been trying years ago. Going back now would probably mean relapsing into the same neglect after the honeymoon phase is over. This strikes me as one of those relationship advice kind of situations, where the abusive partner starts love-bombing you when they know they're about to lose you. Don't give in to those tactics, OP. Not the a-hole for this one. Your father is. Now in the comments, Say Macros says, not the a-hole. He deserved it. You could have held off on telling him to be more comfortable until you leave though. I don't think he deserves another chance at all. And OP replies, I mean, he can kick me out if he wants, and at least I'll get to be with my grandparents for a few months before I turn 18. You are not the a-hole. Anyone has the right to go no contact with anyone else. It's their life. It's a fundamental human right. That is why the concept of going no contact is a golden pillar holding this subreddit up. Do these people think kids and teenagers don't have memories? Not the a-hole. They also apparently don't think teenagers have as acute emotions as adults do. Which is amazing because people will also undermine a teenage opinion being emotional and hormonal, when teenagedom is usually the first you know how to emotionally express yourself on your own. Not the a-hole. He's just mad because he's a crappy father and doesn't want to accept it. If he truly wanted to be in your life, he could have reached out earlier. Sorry for your loss, and I'm glad you're getting help. And OP replies, thanks. It's helping a lot talking to her because I sure as crap don't want to talk to him about my mum. It's been easier having someone to go to, and she knows how to handle my crap. Have you ever had a therapy session with your dad present? No. Would you ever want to? Or are you over ever having a relationship with him? No. That ship is pretty much sailed. Then I wish you the best of luck when you turn 18. Keep track of your money. I think as a minor, he legally has a right to it, so make sure he doesn't screw you over before you're an adult by taking the money. And also, move the money right away at 18 to a new bank. The money was in Mum's account, and she transferred that to my grandparents before she got more sick. They've been holding on to it for me. Posted by user statisticianthese252, titled, Am I the a-hole for paying more for my son's college tuition compared to my daughter's tuition? My son got into an amazing school with great career opportunities. He worked hard in high school, and his acceptance to the school was well deserved. The tuition and room and board comes to about $50,000 a year. It was higher than what we had anticipated, but decided we could contribute $25,000 a year and he could take loans out for the rest. My younger daughter is graduating soon and still hasn't picked a college yet. She never took school seriously and was pretty much a C student through all 4 years. The college she's looking at is about $20,000 a year. However, it's not very well known or even ranked. I do not feel like her going to this school would be more advantageous to her career compared to a community college, which would be significantly cheaper, at around $6,000 a year. I told her we would contribute $6,000 a year if she could take out loans for the rest. Else, we could also pay in full for community college for her first 2 years, and if she maintained above a 3.5 GPA, we would pay for whatever school she wanted to transfer to for her last 2 years. My daughter is angry with us, and says we're favoring her brother by paying so much more for his tuition compared to hers. However, the only reason we decided to pay so much for our son's tuition is because he graduated valedictorian, and his school is ranked top 5 for his major and will give him many opportunities that kids at regular state schools may not get. We think our daughter just wants to go to this private school for the college experience, not necessarily to progress her career. Hence, until she proves that she takes her career seriously, we're not really inclined to drop $20,000 plus a year on her tuition. Am I the a-hole? So you're blatantly stating then that you in fact favor your son over your daughter. So much so, you're willing to drop 4 times the money on him than her. She has every right to be angry over it, and you absolutely know that you're causing grief and a rift between the two. This isn't fair. And I know life isn't fair, but this isn't a situation where you can do this without seriously damaging the family dynamic. If you're okay with potentially cutting her off from the family entirely and ruining her relationship with her sibling, then go right ahead. Just know, you're the a-hole and will always be one if you go ahead with this. You're the a-hole. Now in the comments, Admirable Judgment says, "You're the a-hole. Where You Go Is Not Who You'll Be" by Frank Bruni. Read it. Going to the unranked school may be just what your daughter needs. Just because it isn't a named school doesn't mean it won't benefit her. There's nothing wrong with saving money by going to a community college first. You're proposing it for the wrong reason though. If you're concerned about your daughter's reasons for choosing to go to college, you should address those directly. Seconding this, if daughter is a mediocre student, the more expensive college might just be what she needs to feel motivated. If there's a campus culture, community, etc., she'll be much less likely to drop out than a community college. Also, regardless of how unknown the school is, a traditional 4-year college will look better on her resume than a community college. OP, you should pay for the college she actually wants to go to. If you're really worried, you can set some reasonable expectations for her. At least 1 A- per semester and nothing lower than a C or something like that. The BA is what counts. If she finishes from an accredited college, no one will pay attention to whether or not she went to community college first. I'm currently on track for an associate's at my community college. I am doing so well that I'm getting offers from universities all over the country, offering grants if I transfer to them. When I do transfer to the university associated with my community college, I have a real shot at a specific scholarship that exists to help honor students succeed in their 4-year school. Going to a community school first, let me be sure about my major without risk, has been cheap enough that financial aid covers the bulk of tuition, reduces the overall pressure on a first-time student, lets me prove I can excel so I get the good scholarships to the more expensive school, helped me get into the pace of college at my own speed, and got me some easy credits because expectations are lower, so when it gets harder, at least some of the basic classes are already covered. You're the a-hole. Favoritism blows. If you agreed to help both of them pay for school, you need to do just that. Applying conditions because one of them doesn't live up to your expectations, unless you set conditions when you discussed financing college for them, is flat out dictatorial. Am I missing where OP said that they'd agree to help both of them pay? I don't see anything in the post about that. I don't think it's favoritism. His daughter hasn't shown the discipline or the grades to justify the cash that she wants her parents to fork over. No, you're not missing anything. Please note that I said if they agreed to help them. I respect your opinion, but I still believe it's favoritism. Some people don't do well in high school, but go on to do very well in college. Since none of us have a crystal ball, we can't say whether or not his daughter will do better or worse. Denying her that opportunity, even though it may not happen, while putting out the funding for his son's school of choice, is still showing favoritism as I see it. Not to mention that I've seen quite a few people who did really well in high school absolutely crash and burn in college. High school success might be an indicator, but it is by no means a predictor of college, let alone career success. I'm going to say not the a-hole. Didn't think I would initially, but if your daughter is not a good student, it doesn't make sense to drop an insane amount of money on an education that she hasn't proven that she will take advantage of. I think your suggestion of a community college with an option to transfer if she maintains her grades is reasonable. My answer would have been very different if you had had 2 kids who worked hard, but chose to fund only one. Since that's not the case, I don't think you're an a-hole. She got in a 4-year college. You're acting like she dropped out of high school. It's not hard to get into a 4-year university, evident by the fact that 30% or so of freshmen drop out. Starting at community college is a very wise way to avoid wasting money, especially if you cruised through high school with C's. This, exactly. Getting into a university and getting into a good university are very different things. Posted by user Incompetent Potate, titled, "Am I the a-hole for telling my roommate's girlfriend that she's not woke if she's wrong?" So husband, 28 male, and I, 25 female, are ethnically Chinese from a Southeast Asian country living overseas. We rent a house with significant other's college friend who moved his girlfriend Anna in during lockdown, and she's been with us ever since, with landlord's permission, and she pays her share of the bills. They're not Asians, which matters. Anna was initially nice, but started acting very weirdly a month after she moved in. 1. Telling significant other and I that we can practice our real religion, which apparently is Buddhism, not Christianity, even though significant other and I come from Christian families. She even bought incense, which gives me migraines, and a random Buddha statue. We politely explained to her that we're not Buddhists, but she continued to insist and promised that she didn't mind. 2. Telling significant other and I that we can speak our real language because she overheard Esso's family talking to us in a mix of English and Cantonese. I explained to her that I can't speak Cantonese, but my partner can, even though I can understand it. She was, for some reason, really disappointed in me and said that I was throwing my heritage away. Plot twist, my own father is only comfortable speaking English. And 3, buying raw internal organs for my partner and I to cook, even though we don't eat those. I told her that we don't eat that, as it's not our thing, and she was again disappointed. She told us she read that there were lots of nice recipes, and maybe we haven't found the right one to remind us of home. My partner told her he's never eaten it ever in his life, and I've never liked it. She was really upset, but had to toss it because no one was going to eat it. Chinese New Year was when things got really weird. She started ordering decorations. Like, I wouldn't mind, but she had ordered hell notes, the ones burned for deceased ancestors. I immediately told her to stop pasting them all over the walls because they were weirding me out. She ordered banners with my significant others and my name on it. Some idiotization of our legal English names, but they were written on white banners, again, for deceased people. I told her to please take it down. She got upset again, but then ordered kabuki masks. I told her that those masks were not Chinese, and she just snapped. She started yelling at me that I should be helping her and not critiquing what she was doing. I told her 1, she never asked, 2, Chinese New Year is not a big deal to me, so I wasn't planning on decorating, but if she had asked, I would have helped. And 3, she never asked. I told her I don't understand her fixation with us. She said she wanted to surprise me and significant other, that we've been so colonized, we've forgotten our roots, and that we should be embracing our culture. I told her it was a nice gesture, but she needs to stop forcing stereotypes down our throats. She could have just asked, and she's not being woke when she's getting everything wrong. She burst into tears and brought in her boyfriend. He understood where I was coming from, but thought I could have been nicer. My partner stands by me, and now things have been tense. But I've been tolerating this for a while now, and it was getting on my nerves. I feel like everyone reading and listening to this knows that it's not woke to do this to someone. It's genuinely just being racist. That's what it is. They didn't talk to OP at any point to ask if they were cool with it. They just went full steam, ordering the lowest hanging, stereotypical things associated with Chinese culture and shoved them in OP's face. You have every right to be telling her to her face that she isn't being woke, just disrespectful to your culture and the planet for wasting so many resources. Not the a-hole, OP. Now in the comments, not the a-hole. Not woke? She's straight up racist. Ask her if she'd be buying beans and a sombrero if you were Puerto Rican. Seriously though, she needs a frank talk about what racism is. And edit, since it needs to be said, yes, I know sombreros are Mexican and not Puerto Rican. I said this because OP received a Japanese kabuki mask. Correct. If OP was Scottish, flatmate would be smuggling in a haggis and firing up the bagpipes. Not the a-hole, but flatmate is. An interesting comparison. It made me picture A, the odds of someone like this flatmate daring to try that twice to a typical Scot after the first one was stomped on, and B, such efforts ending in anything other than the flatmate quickly learning their lesson. I'd offer such a person a side of burnt haggis to enjoy with their breakfast, and then badly play the bagpipes at full volume in the kitchen to serenade them while they eat. Not the a-hole. Quote, so colonized we've forgotten our roots and should be embracing our culture. End quote. If someone said that to me, I'm of Indian heritage, born and raised in the UK, I'd tell them to F off. That's personal to me, and so not something that a relative stranger gets to judge about me. Posted by user throwaway098765. Titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my mum she should feel like a bad mum because she is one? I'm just going to add here, I'm going to talk about periods, so if that's bothersome, I'd suggest you not read. So, I, female 18, have 3 siblings, 17 male, 15 female, and 14 female. My mum has never been involved in our lives. She was around sometimes, and when my dad passed away 5 years ago, she was almost unbothered and continued to live her life. A year later, she married an old friend of my dad's. Together, they went on all sorts of trips, made plans with just them, and my siblings and I were at my grandparents' house almost every day. The few times my mum cared to be around us was when she wanted to take family pictures to post online. Because of my mum being absent, my sisters relied on me to teach them about their periods, and I gave them the talk as well. I've been discussed those things nearly 2 to 3 years ago and did my best to explain everything I knew at 16, and it seemed to have done the job. Since quarantine, my mum has been forced to stay at home, and she pouted about it the first few months. Around July last year, she found out my youngest sister was having periods, and she got annoyed that she wasn't the first to know. My sister has been having them for over 2 years. Lately, my mum's been trying to talk to my sisters and offer them motherly advice, as she calls it. She's had no success, but still pushes it almost daily. Last night, my sister was having a really off day and went to bed earlier than normal. My mum kept bothering her and telling her it was too early to sleep. It was 9 p.m. and my sister blew up at her and told her to basically piss off. She came downstairs when my brother and I were at, and she started going on about how she blamed my dad for making us choose him as the favorite parent, and if it weren't for him, she'd have a better relationship with us. That much ticked me off because she chose to live some child-free lifestyle rather than be around us. She kept going how she missed so many milestones in our lives, like my sister getting their first periods, or my brother getting his first girlfriend. Not once did she try to acknowledge that she was the main reason she missed those things. Here's where I feel like an a-hole. I blew up at her, completely lost it. I told her she needed not to blame my dead dad, and if she wanted to know the real reason she missed out, she should look in the mirror. She started crying and said I'm making her look like a bad mother. I ended it with she should feel like a bad mother because she is one. I have since felt awful for what I said, and I think I might have been too hard on her. Am I the a-hole? I don't think you went too hard on her. Really, the alternative here is that you say nothing at all, and she continues to talk about it to the detriment of the rest of your family. This may have been a particularly aggressive way to go about it, but it's not unwarranted. Like, you didn't lie about anything you said. If she wants to fix things from here on out, she can apologize to you and your siblings and look forward to life achievements from today onward. Not burn bridges because she previously burnt bridges in the past and is upset the bridges were burnt when she wants them not to have been. Weird reality that she's living in, that woman. Not the a-hole. Finding What I Want says, not the a-hole. You didn't make her look like a bad mother, she did. Latching on to say this, you've basically been parentified to be a replacement mum because your own checked out for pretty much the entirety of your life. This woman doesn't even fit the category of mother or mum. Egg donor would be more appropriate because she didn't even do the bare minimum as a parent. And this person has the gall to try to have a pity party lamenting the lack of a relationship she could never be bothered to build. And that line about family photos for social media brownie points is just disgusting. Again, you did nothing wrong. Not the a-hole. You were harsh, but it sounds true. She didn't know one of her daughters had already had her period for 2 years. If she really wants to take steps to repair relationships, the first step is to apologize. The second is to take steps to change, and the third is likely therapy. She'd also have to understand that simply saying you're a family again doesn't mean everything is fixed. Sorry for everything you've gone through. Sounds like you've been a stellar big sister though. OP's mother's willful ignorance means she deserves the hard truth. Time to make penance and eat some humble pie. Agreed. But people like OP's mum will never admit it. She will play the victim and blame anyone who speaks the truth. Maybe after all the kids move out and go no contact, she will see why. Probably not though. And not the a-hole. Your mother seems to have confused you and your siblings with dolls and thought that she could basically ignore you for years and that you'd still be waiting in the toy box when she decided that she wanted to play with you again. This is such a perfect analogy, and I think way more parents think this way than we'd like to imagine. Posted by user Sammy3033, titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my dad see my daughter after he disowned her? I'll make this short because I understandably hate talking about this. My wife, 38 female, and I, 32 male, have struggled with miscarriages. We've had 3, along with other health issues. We were desperate for a baby together. We've struggled for years, and thank goodness we were lucky to find out we were expecting a baby girl. My parents were thrilled, especially my dad. He bought clothes and toys and checked on us, and made sure that he was there to support us and his future granddaughter. Our daughter was born with a defect, Down syndrome. My wife and I knew that we had many challenges in the future, but that didn't make us less excited or unhappy. My dad, however, had an awful reaction after he found out. He kept bringing up that it was my wife's fault, that I should have married a younger woman, which was awful of him to say. He said that he didn't want to have anything to do with this. He distanced himself and stopped talking to us and visiting us and took the stuff back. So I cut contact. But my mum visited regularly. This happened years ago. My daughter is now 3. I'm in contact with my sister. She has a 1-year-old son that my dad spends time with and posts pictures of on social media and brings gifts to. I couldn't help but feel hurt and anger. He didn't even try to reach out, and it's been years. Recently, I heard my sister got in an argument with my dad. She moved out of state, and he didn't want her and her husband to move so that he could see his grandson. My mum would visit and talk about how frustrated and mad my dad is. Despite telling her to drop it, she mentioned that my dad wants us to visit so he could start spending time with his granddaughter. I asked her what granddaughter, because for 3 years, he had disowned her, and for her entire life, he's been acting like she doesn't exist. I can't remember the number of nights when I wake up to my wife crying because of what he said. Now my mum is calling me cruel for not agreeing to let him near my daughter. I argued with her, and I saw that others started reaching out, wanting to set up a meeting, but I refused to go. They're saying I'm robbing him of a relationship with my daughter, ignoring that it was a decision that he made 3 years ago. Am I the a-hole here? The issue is this has been causing everyone around me to point their fingers at me, saying I'm being bitter and preventing my dad from having his granddaughter in his life. You're not getting bitter, and you're not preventing his granddaughter from being in his life. He burnt that bridge 3 years ago and went no contact with you in favor of the other grandchild. You obviously know this is all crocodile tears on his end, and he's dragging this situation into the public eye when it really should be handled privately. The only reason he's making it public is because he knows the answer is no, and that if he gets enough people to attack you, he hopes that you'll change your mind and to let him in. And for what? What is this going to solve? He still doesn't like your daughter. People don't change like that in the span of 3 years, especially given the context of the situation. Him coming back into your life isn't going to magically change anything, and more than likely, he's going to do more damage to you and your family. I say keep him out and keep him there. He's more trouble than he's worth, and if you want a relationship with him, keep your child so far away from him. Not the a-hole. Now in the comments, Academic Nobody 4964 says, not the a-hole. He only wants a relationship with your daughter because his other grandchild is not available to him. Your daughter deserves so much better than that man. Tell your dad, mum, and anyone who agrees with them that they can F off because you won't subject your daughter to such a disgusting person. I'm so sorry you and your wife are going through this. You sound like excellent parents, and I wish your family the best. But stick with your guts, you don't owe that man anything. Not to mention, what happens when the other daughter moves back into the state? What happens if grandpa and grandma decide to move to the state where the other grandkid is? It's so much worse for children's development to have caregivers that move in and out of their lives than it is for them to lack the presence of that caregiver entirely. Not the a-hole, not by a long shot. This isn't bitterness, this is protecting his daughter. They don't even need to move back. What if the families go on vacation together? I bet you grandpa will spoil his favorite grandchild, and that little girl will have her heart broken because grandpa will blatantly favor the other child. Not the a-hole. He hasn't even apologized for his actions. He hasn't contacted you at all. For all you know, he still wants nothing to do with his granddaughter. Plus, if he mends things with your sister, will he drop your daughter once he has her son again? And OP replies, no, he hasn't reached out. And I keep asking myself questions, since he showed his love is conditional, and it might hurt my daughter to be exposed to this. It will hurt your daughter and your wife to be exposed to that horrible man. Not the a-hole. Your daughter is not a consolation prize for him now that his grandson has moved far away. He made his decision years ago. He does not have a granddaughter. I'd like to add that he didn't just make the decision 3 years ago. He made it every day since. Every time the mother visited without him, 1,000 times he made this choice. He shouldn't be texting or calling to apologize. He should be crawling on his hands and knees to beg forgiveness. Posted by user Puxwell9218, titled, Am I the a-hole for pressing charges against my mum? Now I'm not sure if the title is the right way to word it, but hear me out. I found out 5 days ago that my mum lied to me about my tax refund last year and had the money direct deposited into her bank account. She and I are not on talking terms, as she borrowed $200 from me in early January and refused to pay me back, even though this is the only time I've ever asked for it back. Since we're not talking, I had to attempt to file my taxes on my own. Now, she's always done my family's and I's taxes, so when it was rejected because I couldn't remember my AGI for 2020, I had to request a transcript to figure it out. Although, I ended up finding out I had received quite a large refund, and the account it was deposited in. Immediately, I called her to ask her what the hell. Why did you do this? She declined. I texted her several times, no response. I called my older sister to try and get in contact with her and tell her that I need to talk to her ASAP. Mum then blocks her and blocks me across social media. That all happened last Friday. So coming to this last Monday, I called the IRS panicking and trying to figure out what I should do. Can I even do anything? The lady on the phone guides me to fill out some forms and contact the Federal Trade Commission with identity theft, although I don't know if that's what this is. I fill out all sorts of things and file a police report. I called older sister again, and she says it's not going to go anywhere, that it's a waste of my time, etc., and I'm just going to ruin my relationship with Mum. My other sister is fully supportive and encourages me to do what I feel like I need to do. Coming to yesterday, I went to the police station and gave them copies of all of my paperwork, proof money went into her account, her info, etc. The detective called me and let me know that they have everything they need and are going to arrest her. And suddenly I feel bad. Should I have just let it go? My refund was nearly $2,000 and I could have really used it, as I had just been laid off due to the pandemic at the time. My older sister is kind of at my throat, and I don't know what to do. I've given her over $5,000 over the last 3 years, and feel like she just used me even more than what she already was. Am I the a-hole? She's stolen $2,000 from you right now, and $5,000 over the last 3 years, blocks all communication with you and your sister as soon as you guys start asking questions, and now you're asking if you're in the wrong for getting her arrested. I can see why you would want to question this, since it's very much looked down upon to intentionally have your own mother arrested, but surely this is an example that would be acceptable in people's eyes. I think your mother crossed the line, and this was a long time coming. She deserves it, and you're not the a-hole here. Edit to add, thank you all so much for your comments. My mum didn't get my stimulus checks as they were both mailed to me. Also, I understand that I should have checked her doing my taxes. I was 19 at the time and didn't expect my mum to do me like that. I simply believed her. I'm glad you guys were all so smart and knew better at that age. I made a mistake and I get it. There's a chance that she stole more. I didn't realize my federal returns and state returns were separate, and I only know the Fed amount. I'll be figuring out the state amount on Monday. A few of you asked, and no, I don't live with her. I haven't since I was 16. Also, I've done a credit freeze, and everything on my credit report is things that I've done or accounts that I've opened. Thank you so much, though. Now in the comments, Kindly Train 1045 says, "Not the a-hole. What the hell? She stole your money. You tried to talk to her and figure it out, but she refused. It is then on her to deal with the consequences. Good that you reported her, and shame on your sister for enabling your mum's behavior." Jumping on the top comment to add, "Don't back down and continue with the charges. She needs to learn her lesson. $2,000 is quite a bit of money to just be out of, especially right now." Yep. $2,000 stolen secretly from you by someone who then blocks your calls is a serious matter. But it also may not be the end of it. You don't know if she's stolen your identity and taken out loans in your name. You don't know what she may be doing, and she won't talk to you. You are not ruining this relationship. If allowing someone to steal from you with no consequences is what it takes to maintain a relationship, it's not a relationship worth maintaining. Press charges, OP. Not the a-hole. You'll want to contact the Social Security Administration about getting a new Social Security number. Your mum has proven she can't be trusted and may use your financial info for her own gain. You need to make sure that she can't do that in the future. And OP replies, "I have my social card and my birth certificates, and I put a freeze on my credit and stuff. She hasn't taken anything out of my name yet, but I will call them about it. Thank you so much." As your parent, she can get a new copy of your birth certificate very easily, and it sounds like she had your SSN memorized. Be vigilant. Our next post is by user Condorima, titled, Am I the a-hole for banning my former mother-in-law from my house because she keeps showing up and letting herself in? My former mother-in-law is 52 years old and I am 32 years old. Back when I was 23, I got my then girlfriend pregnant. We married soon after, and she gave birth to our little girl. 2 years after, my wife got extremely sick and passed soon after, leaving me with our daughter. I decided to move several states away back to my own parents as I work a lot and my parents volunteered to help me with my daughter. This went on for a while, until I had made a good promotion and had enough saved up to get my own house half an hour away from my parents. And since then, watching my daughter during the day while I'm at work is split between the nanny I hired and my parents. Before you think I'm taking advantage, my parents insist on watching her. My daughter is 8 now, in case you wonder, and I generally work 8 to 6. My former mother-in-law decided to move to the town I live in because she wants to be close to her granddaughter/my daughter. I initially had no issue with this. After all, my wife was her only child, and my daughter her only grandchild. I only started having an issue when she actually moved. Since she moved here, she was at my house pretty much all day, including when I got home after work and the weekends. She would even be there when my daughter was at school, and no one was home to clean. After having multiple conversations and arguments with her when I stated that I was of the opinion her behavior was inappropriate and she was crossing boundaries, she finally toned it down for a while. However, slip-ups were and are common. Last week was the final straw for me. Since the past year and a half, I have started dating again and met a woman. However, due to the pandemic, we have not been able to spend much time together. But with everything opening up here, I invited her over after asking my parents to watch my daughter. When we were fooling around on the couch, my ex-mother-in-law let herself in, of course without calling, knocking, or asking, and proceeded to lose her crap and accused me of cheating and disrespecting my deceased wife. I finally had enough. I went over, snatched my key from her, forced her out of my home, and told her she is no longer welcome in my house. She really has no one else, and several people, including my parents, have weighed in, asking me to change my mind. I'm not sure if I'm the a-hole here. I would absolutely ban her from your house and change the locks, as heaps of people here are going to suggest. The solution would be that there are agreed upon times that you'll drop the child off, or do supervised visits with the child. She absolutely destroyed those boundaries that you require as an individual with privacy, and went nuts about her deceased daughter. I can understand why that would happen in the heat of the moment, but she had a choice to take her emotions out in that way, and chose to attack instead of flee and deal with it in private. I can absolutely fault her for that. It was unnecessary and toxic to put that on OP, and this whole situation shouldn't have even happened because she shouldn't have been letting herself in. With all that said and done, I'm going to go for not the a-hole OP. Now in the comments, Isaac Endler says, not the a-hole because of 3 main reasons. 1, this is your house. 2, this is your kid. And 3, this is your life. You lost your wife. I'm genuinely sorry for your loss. You grieved, you accepted your loss, and then you moved on. You're not cheating on anyone, and you're well within your right to not allow her into your property. Keep her away from your kid. Her reaction tells me that she'll try and push her mindset of you cheating onto your daughter. Just remember that you're the parent and that you have your own life. Am I doing the math right here? Married at 23, widowed at 25, now 32? So his wife has been gone 7 years. Surely that's more than enough time to start moving on, or does the mother expect lifelong celibacy? Not the a-hole. She must think her daughter is still here as a ghost. No wonder she's always at his house. She was talking to her daughter, who is a ghost, and she must come at that moment because her daughter, who is a ghost, told her that she was cheating. Makes perfect sense. I bet she's really good at pottery, though. Lord Yeastring says, not the a-hole. You've warned her multiple times. If she wants to see her grandchild, she should call you and ask, rather than come over or take your daughter out somewhere. I would not give the keys back. With the grandmother being pissed off at OP, I wouldn't recommend unsupervised visits at the moment. Yeah, that's true, but what's she gonna do? If she does anything, he could go as far as getting a restraining order. She comes across as unstable, and it's just best to never play chicken with children and an unstable adult. She's clearly not dealt with her grief. She needs to go to counseling and accept that her daughter is passed on. Not the a-hole. Why does this woman have a key or access code to your home? She is 100% the a-hole. Good locks make good neighbors. I wouldn't recommend giving anyone a key who doesn't live in your house unless you're going to be gone, except one person whom you can trust not to do this, like your parents or a friend. Yes, my question. I'm not even allowed to enter the home of my sister without knocking. I don't have a key, so why should she have a key? Yeah, any keys I have to anyone's home, I would never use without literally speaking to them on the phone to verify it was okay. Unless there's like a clear emergency. Maybe that's why people trust me with their keys. Who would have thought? Not the a-hole. You're entitled to your own privacy, and it should be expected for an adult to respect another adult's private and personal space. Showing up constantly and letting yourself in? That's too much. However, I'd remember that your deceased wife's mother is clearly without anyone. Her only child is dead. Her only grandchild with you. This can't be easy for her. You absolutely need to establish and enforce boundaries, but this isn't just an overbearing mother-in-law. This is a grief-stricken and lonely mother-in-law. Please try to come to a compromise for the memory of your wife and her daughter. This, obviously not the a-hole, but this is what I was thinking about, how to carefully articulate. The cheating on my daughter shows that this woman is still struggling tremendously with grief. The cleaning of his house when OP is gone shows she is trying to help. She lost her only family and is trying to find a sense of belonging and feel needed. Not that this behavior is okay or should be accepted, but I understand her perspective. Prepare for arguments. Empathy for the a-hole in situations is not generally taken well, but for what it's worth, I agree with you completely. Mother-in-law sounds like she needs grief counseling if she is still this focused on OP's commitments to his wife 7 years after her death. Obviously things need to change, and she needs to respect his privacy and boundaries, and I'd even advise being happy for OP and daughter that they can possibly have a loving relationship with someone. She's obviously been there for OP and daughter, and her grief is probably boundless. I hope they can work this out. Regardless, OP is not the a-hole. I hope he can have a true heart-to-heart with mother-in-law, and they can learn to value each other respectfully. And our next post is by user, Am I the a-hole, her gay fry? Titled, Am I the a-hole for throwing my girlfriend's gay friend out because he was being inappropriate towards me? So my, 24 male, girlfriend, 23 female, who we'll call Jess, and I, have been living together for 7 months. She moved in after she learned, so working totally online. We've dated for 2 years. Jess has a very close-knit friend group that she's been with since early college. One of the guys in her group we will call John. John is a gay dude and is the only guy in her friend group. John is very flamboyant, and he has a history of saying things that are very inappropriate towards me. Like, he'll constantly say inappropriate things to me and about me. He constantly says things to my girlfriend like, "Be quiet before I F your boyfriend," as a joke, and that really grosses me out and makes me feel uncomfortable. He'll make jokes about the size of my penis, and worst of all, he'll joke about if I ever have been with a guy, which legitimately makes me upset. My girlfriend thinks it's hilarious. This came to a head a few nights ago. A few of my girlfriend's friends, including John, came over for the evening, and I was out with them. They had a little bit too much to drink, and John was being too much. I pulled Jess aside and told her that John was making me feel uncomfortable, and that she needed to tell him to stop. She said that they were just having fun and that I need to lighten up, but she'll still tell him to stop. She, in a joking way, told him I was feeling uncomfortable, and that became the new topic of the joke. John then hinted I might be uncomfortable and defensive because I may be a little gay. This is where I drew the line. I'm not gay, and I don't like it being implied that I'm gay. I was angry at him, and I asked him to leave. The night was pretty much halted. Jess and her friends tried to convince me to calm down, but I was done. After he joked about me being gay, he needed to leave my house. Eventually, he and all of Jess's friends left, and she went off on me. Apparently, all of her friends were pissed at me too for ruining the night and accused me of being homophobic. Even my girlfriend said it came across as homophobic that I reacted so badly to him joking about me being gay. Am I the a-hole? It's not your job to cop abuse from them and be expected to take it and just keep taking it, that's what he said. All jokes aside though, you're well within your rights to do what you did, and they deserve to be kicked out for that. You're absolutely not homophobic for standing up for yourself and denying those allegations. I know I'd be pissed off if I made it clear I'm not gay and continuously had someone making those jokes towards me. There's only so much one can take before you get a reaction, and they found that. You're not the a-hole in my opinion. Now in the comments, Future Muscle Doctor says, not the a-hole. You are not a homophobe for kicking out someone who constantly violates your boundaries. It's also concerning that OP's girlfriend doesn't respect his boundaries, which are extremely reasonable. Not the a-hole. Seriously, why is his girlfriend okay with her friend saying he wants to sleep with her boyfriend? Would she be okay with her female friends saying it? Or is it just okay because it would be homophobic to point out that behavior as being absolutely toxic and crappy coming from a gay man? I feel like if her girlfriend said it, she'd still take it as a joke. But OP, ask how she'd feel if one of your male friends started asking what her boobs felt like and made comments about, dude, shut up or I'm gonna F your girlfriend. Aw, look, she's getting embarrassed. She might deny it, but I can tell she'd totally be into it. I'm guessing she'd get a little defensive about it. Then ask how she'd feel if on top of that, you just laughed along with your friends and told her she was overreacting. This isn't about homophobia. This is about someone making unwanted sexual commentary at you and your girlfriend laughing along with him instead of saying, hey, my boyfriend doesn't find that as funny as you do, could you tone it down? Not the a-hole for sure. Not the a-hole. As a gay man, I am so tired of people in our community acting like this, and it's especially common for younger gay guys. Being gay is not a get-out-of-jail-free card to act however you like, and make people uncomfortable. I also despise guys who try and project their own sexuality onto straight men who aren't interested. Oh, he's not responding to my flirting? He must be in denial. He must be gay. You are straight. You are in a relationship. His behavior made you uncomfortable, and you did the right thing and communicated your feelings to your girlfriend to handle. He is her friend. It is therefore her responsibility to deal with it. She didn't, and in the process, she proved that she values her friend's feelings over yours. Nothing you did was homophobic, and this is coming from someone who is gay as the day is long. I'm lesbian, and I completely understand this behavior. The amount of times I've had to tell some of my gay friends that gay is not a personality trait that you can pass on to other guys is astounding. The, oh, I can change him attitude is ridiculous. While I, yes, believe nobody is 100% straight, that doesn't mean that you can press the issue and push people to be uncomfortable. Edit from questions. In all our experiences with straight people, I've heard that there is always that one person that turns them on from the same sex, and they have no idea why. We understand the double standard. If someone said that to the community, we would get hate galore, and that's okay. We just acknowledge previous conversations with our resident straights in our friend group. And Music Girl's mom says, my girlfriend thinks it's hilarious. You know what's not hilarious? Sexual harassment, which this is. You are not the a-hole OP, but your girlfriend and her friend John definitely are. Posted by user Throwaway Am I the A-hole 918. Titled, Am I the a-hole for not apologizing to a little girl when my dog scared her? I have a little dog who is not a fan of children. He ignores them when they ignore him, but gets very nervous when they yell and run or jump towards him. The other day, I was walking him on the sidewalk next to my house, and a lady was sitting outside watching her little daughter, 4 to 5 female, play. The daughter saw my dog, who was very cute and fluffy, and started running towards him and screaming excitedly. My dog got scared and started barking. The girl got scared and started crying hysterically. Her mother started yelling at me and demanding I apologize to her daughter because my dog scared her. I said that I have nothing to apologize for, as my dog was properly leashed and far away from the girl at all times. So I did my duty as a dog owner, and she should do her duty as a parent and teach her child not to scream and run towards strangers' dogs, as you never know how they would react. She disagreed, and eventually I just walked away. Reddit, Am I the a-hole? Edit, the incident took place on a public sidewalk next to the entrance of my apartment building. The dog was at least 3 meters away from the girl at all times, and on a short leash, so there was never any danger that anything would happen to her. I'm on your side here. Your dog didn't injure the child, it just barked, and that's a perfectly fine thing to expect from a dog that you don't know or have permission from the owner to touch. This serves as that lesson to the child, and luckily they didn't learn this one the harder way, where they get injured by the dog, so I'm very glad for that. You did the best damage control you could in this situation, and I do believe that lady is in the wrong for having a go at you for this one. Some people would apologize for the dog barking and not knowing any better to take the easier way out, but you went the right way and taught both of them a lesson. And I applaud you for that, OP. Not the a-hole. Now in the comments, Consistent Leopard 71 says, Not the a-hole. She needs to teach her kid the proper way to approach a dog. No kidding. I've seen kids who have gotten destroyed faces from just that. No one wants to go through the effort of healing a half torn off face, and seeing 5-year-olds with stitched skin like that is always so sad. Not the a-hole. That happened to me when I was 2. I got away with a broken arm and mangled lower half of my face, though in my case, it was a shelter dog my parents picked up without checking how it was with kids. Can confirm that dogs can well and truly F up kids, and bad interactions often end horribly for all parties involved. Not the a-hole. Not your problem she can't teach her kid not to scream and run towards pets. She's lucky you leashed your dog. I've seen kids get bitten or chased after doing what this kid did because the owner wasn't responsible and leashing their pets. There's a pandemic. The kid shouldn't be running toward anybody at all. I mean, it's a kid, so we can blame the parents for that one. I guess I'm going to go against the grain here, but everyone sucks here. I get that everyone says you don't owe anyone anything these days, but at the end of the day, it's a child. I personally find it a bit heartless that in this situation with a crying child, your first instinct isn't to say something like, "Oh, sorry, you just scared my dog. They didn't mean to scare you." The mum didn't really have a right to get angry at you, though, as you didn't do anything wrong. That's my reaction as well. It's odd to me that it wouldn't be automatic to say something soothing to a little kid. OP was busy looking out for their dog, who was also upset and had not instigated anything. Exactly. In this instance, my primary concern is my dog, not your child. The parent can console the child. I'm going to console my dog, not the a-hole. Posted by user ThrowRA Boyfriend Troubles. Titled, Am I the a-hole for not letting my boyfriend pay less on bills due to a new purchase because he wouldn't let me when I made less money than him? So my boyfriend of 2 years and I live together. We split expenses 50-50 when it comes to rent, groceries, utilities, things for our house, etc. We both make about the same money working full-time. We keep our finances, such as our own vehicles, doctor's bills, cell phone bills, etc., separate. My boyfriend recently made an irresponsible and unnecessary purchase. To keep it short, I won't go into details, but it was something he absolutely did not need, just wanted, and it's made his disposable income significantly less. This has been a sore subject between us. The other day, he asked me to sit down and talk. He told me since he paid more on his personal bills a month, he felt like we needed to adjust how much we each paid on shared expenses. So basically, he felt he should get to pay less. This made me mad for a few reasons. First, as I said, the purchase was absolutely not necessary by any means, and when we first started living together, I made way less money than I do now. I worked part-time at another job and made $12 less on the hour than him. However, then he refused to budge on letting me pay less bills, so I budgeted and saved and always had everything paid despite that. So, I told him no. I told him he was not willing to pay more than me when I made less money than he did, and the purchase was unnecessary, and he knew that it would make his finances difficult. If he couldn't pay our bills, he needed to leave. He of course thinks I'm an a-hole for not budgeting on the issues. I think it's only fair. Am I the a-hole here? And edit, it was a motorcycle. No, absolutely not. He made the rash choice to buy a motorcycle and eat into his disposable income so much so that he can't afford his shared expenses with you. That's not a you problem. That's a him problem. Sure, in some relationships you talk about these kinds of purchases as a team unit to figure out if it's a good option or not, but obviously your dynamic is different to that. He set a precedent of not lowering the amount paid in the past, so why should you budge now when the circumstances are worlds apart? He can't have his cake and eat it too. It just doesn't work that way. Not the a-hole. Now in the comments, the J-Mac says, I'm going to keep it brief, not the a-hole. Pay your bills first, live second. That's what adulting is all about. Being financially responsible, etc., goes through understanding the consequences of your purchases. The part about him not wanting to split proportionally to your contribution to the household revenue comforts me in this not the a-hole vote. That's 2 red flags, by the way. Be careful and all the best. Speaking of red flags, I took a peek at your post history. Your parents don't like him. He put you on speakerphone without your knowledge after doing something really upsetting in an attempt to lower his parents' opinion on you. And now this. You're only 20. Time to move on. The longer you stay with someone who isn't right for you, the less time you'll have to find someone who is. I wish I could upvote this 1,000 times. The more times you waste with this guy, the less time you'll have with the right guy. He's showing you his true colors. Don't look away and waste your 20s in a dead-end relationship. Looking through her post history is so sad. One problem with her boyfriend after another. A healthy relationship shouldn't have you constantly posting on Reddit asking for relationship advice. I wasted 4 years of my life with the wrong person. I hope she gets out soon. Not the a-hole. No, he doesn't just get to pay less just because he bought himself a new toy. Plus, by paying less and OP paying more, OP is basically paying for part of the new toy. Not the a-hole. You worked 2 jobs and had significantly less income before any bills, and he said, gotta be 50-50, otherwise I'd have less money for me. You both earn the same income and he's still okay with 50-50. He spends his money on an unnecessary purchase that A, benefits only him, and B, you did not support, and now, he says, can't be 50-50 anymore, otherwise you'll have more money than I have. Never combine money with this guy or pay more than 50%. Posted by user Mario Almada. Titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter that she needs to be realistic about her wedding? My stepdaughter, but which I consider my daughter, is getting married next spring. She's about to graduate college this fall with a degree in nursing. I took a big part in paying for her schooling so she wouldn't be burdened with loans. Now she's engaged and wants to get married come spring. Which is fine, it's her life, but she expects us to foot the bill for a lavish wedding as her biological father is putting in a couple thousand and the fiancé doesn't have parents as he grew up in foster care. So no support there for helping with the wedding, and he too is in college for nursing. I told her since we're paying for her school that she has X amount for her budget, and she totally lost it. Like, went full entitled bratty kid and accused us of not supporting her or her dreams or her dream wedding. I gave her alternative solutions and even mentioned putting the wedding off for a year so we could recoup money and save to plan for her wedding. That was a big no, apparently. I ended up backing out altogether, and her mum supports the decision. Lots of backlash from her biological father, saying she should get the wedding of her dreams, and I agree, but she has to be reasonable. Am I the a-hole? I feel like this isn't a normal circumstance, where you shutting down the wedding is like a dick move thing to do. There's definitely situations in this world where controlling parents are to blame, and they blow situations like this out of proportion, but this is not one of those times. You're well within your rights to limit the amount of money you spend on this wedding if you're not feasibly able to afford it. You're also entitled to just contribute less if you want to, at the behest of your family. It's your life and your money. You do with it as you please. If she blew up like she did just because she wanted to have a dream wedding on someone else's budget, then I don't honestly think she's ready for marriage. The girl should wait the year out and realign those chakras and figure out what the hell is causing her to spin out of control like that. Or just, reassess your values. Genuinely concerning behavior, and I fully support you here, OP. Not the a-hole. Now in the comments, the Shane Show 49 says, "Not the a-hole. Sounds like it's the first time she's heard no. No one deserves the wedding of their dreams. You have the wedding you can afford, and if you have to go begging to 3 other people, 2 of whom are paying for your education, then you show humility, gratitude, and respect by graciously accepting whatever help they are comfortable offering. This is correct, and I love how someone who isn't footing the bill for the wedding says that OP should be. Amazing how generous people are with other people's money. Not the a-hole. If she's old enough to get married, she's old enough to pay for it. Sounds like she has a lot of growing up to do. My mother told me, if you're not old enough to pay for a wedding, you're not old enough to get married. That sucked to hear then and seemed unfair, but damn, I'm glad she said that now. Not the a-hole. If her biological father is on her side, then he should pay for it. Would like to know how much the father paid for the nursing school. And OP says, less than 95%. Then he can pay for 95% of the wedding, and you can pay less than 5%. Winky face? Posted by user Fetal Rat Face, titled, "Am I the a-hole for not wanting a baby to sleep in my room?" I live in Dallas and we're going through hell because of this winter storm. My family's home had to deal with rolling blackouts for the past few days, but yesterday is the day that it looked like our power was back on for good, which led to my mum inviting our neighbors to stay with us. For whatever reason, their power hasn't been on for the past few days, and my mum invited them to stay with us without even consulting anyone else in the family. These neighbors have 3 kids, one of which is a baby who's only a few months old, and out of nowhere, my mum told me that the baby and its crib were going in my room. That pissed me the F off, since she didn't even ask how I felt about that, but she wouldn't listen to my protests. She never does. Last night I was trying to get to sleep, but the effing baby was being noisy. She wasn't crying, she was just making random baby noises, and I couldn't deal with it. She eventually fell asleep and so did I, but then she started crying, which woke me up. The parents came in and started consoling the baby back to sleep, but I was still up when the baby woke again and started making more baby noises. I decided to take action of my own. I ended up moving the crib into my sister's room, and when she started crying again, it was definitely better for me. But I heard a bunch of confusion in the hallway. The baby's mum was wondering why the crib was in my sister's room, and I just pretended to be asleep. But my mum slammed my door open and immediately called me out. This led to a giant argument between me and her in the hallway. I was arguing that it's not fair that the baby sleeps in my room, but once again, my effing peer of a mum already decided that she was in the right and that she's not to be questioned. Then the neighbors' other kids woke up and the entire house was watching me and my mum scream at each other. Things eventually calmed down and the baby went back in my room, but once she was asleep, I pushed the crib into the bathroom and she wasn't discovered until this morning when the baby's dad found her in there. Now they're mad at me, but I'm pissed at them and my mum. My mum keeps calling me a brat, and the neighbors have already scolded me for what I did, so I retorted by calling them crappy parents who want to pawn their baby off to me instead of taking care of her themselves. Now my mum is blaming me for the current tension in the house. Who's the bad guy here? You're the bad guy here. You're framing this situation in a heavily biased way, and even I ask myself why the parents needed the baby in your room and not in a room with them. Seems like you're leaving a lot of details out of this situation, like you not offering up your room to them for a few nights during an emergency situation, because that's just something you refuse to do, and then complain when this happens. You sound like a genuinely terrible person for putting the baby and the parents through that, and deserve being called out by your mother and made an example of. That's no way to behave, and you should absolutely feel ashamed of yourself. You're the a-hole, OP. Info. How old are you? How old is your sister? They aren't crappy parents if there isn't room for the crib anywhere else, and they don't want your sister disturbed. Depending on your ages, it makes sense. Also, moving the baby around is an a-hole move, especially when the parents can't hear the baby cry when you move it. OP says, I'm 24 and sister is 21. Your age makes this even worse. You sound like a 12-year-old mad they didn't get their way. Yes, it sucks, but get over it. It isn't going to last forever. Sorry, what? From your tone and attitude, I assumed you were like 14. You're the a-hole. Grow up. Do you pay rent? Either way, huge a-hole. I thought maybe you were 12 or 13 so I could sympathize. You were in your 20s and having a hissy fit because you were mildly inconvenienced when a family has to stay in a new place? I'm pretty sure none of them have super comfortable sleeping arrangements. You're the a-hole because you were clearly one, but also, what a crap show. Information. I can't believe I'm asking this. There is no acceptable answer that will justify it. Why wasn't the few-months-old baby sleeping in the room with his parents? Or at the very least, wherever its mother was? Google SIDS. I see some other people have already raised this point, but there is no excuse. The baby should sleep in the same room as its parents, or at least as its mother. Whatever had to happen to make that happen should have happened. I think you behaved badly. What the hell, you pushed the baby's crib into the bathroom? Badly is an understatement, but I think there is massive amounts of information missing here. If your room was the only one that was available that could fit an adult and a baby, then the mum and baby should have taken your room and you should have slept somewhere else. What the F is this post? If you're trolling, well done, because I fell hook, line, and sinker. My hypothesis: the mum asked OP to give his room up, and OP refused. And then mum said fine, they'll sleep on the couch and floor of living room, but there is no way baby's crib will fit here in the remaining space, and baby needs to be in a room with a closed door, so baby goes to your room. Only scenario I can cook up that makes sense. OP replies, here's another scenario. My mum hates me and wants to see me miserable. Lamau? You're 24, grow the hell up. If she hates you, she could kick you out of her house and make you pay for your own place. Why can't you explain what happened beforehand and what options were discussed? Was it really, people walk in, baby placed in my room? Posted by user, Am I the a-hole no rent brother? Titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my entitled sister I'm not paying rent? So my sister Erin has always been the favourite in my family. For some reason, my maternal grandparents and my two childless aunts have favoured her. In late high school, Erin began having some mental issues. Freshman year college came, and she had a complete mental breakdown, eventually being diagnosed with schizoaffective. She lost her scholarship and was devastated, but my family all pitched in to send her to university, and she graduated a year late. Due to my aunts and her church friend, Erin got a good job and a 2-bedroom apartment. She offered to let me live with her, and we made a deal that if I'm in school, I don't need to pay rent. Here's where the issue is. I've been in community college for 4 years now, and don't have a certificate or an associate's yet, but that's due to the fact that I haven't found anything that I want to pursue yet. I get tired of it, and am not motivated due to the fact that I deal with depression and anxiety. When the pandemic hit, all my classes went online, so my grades tanked and I failed all my spring classes. Erin also started working from home, so we've seen each other a lot. Erin took it upon herself to try to drag me out of bed, even though I couldn't muster the energy to get out of bed due to my depression. She would continually pester me about trying to find a therapist online, even though she knows that therapy doesn't work for me. She even tried to get me to see a therapist friend of hers that wouldn't charge me for the first 3 sessions. I told her it was nice of her, but no. She also tried to get me to see a psychiatrist to get me medications, but she knows that when I first tried medications, it made me feel awful. She's kept pestering me about these things, and I yelled at her to stay out of my life. The next day, she told me that she got me a job at one of her friends' business. I told her we made a deal and that I'm still in school. She got upset and said that I'm never going to graduate and that I can't freeload anymore, and that I need to stop being so helpless because she's learned how to manage her mental illness. I will admit this is where I might be the a-hole. I told her that just because she has schizoaffective, it doesn't mean crap. I blew up at her, saying that her depressive episodes aren't as severe as mine, and that she doesn't have crippling anxiety, so she can't understand how I feel. I told her that nothing has gone wrong in her life since she still has the family, but that I'm totally alone. I don't have anyone to talk to. Erin is the only person I ever speak to. To sum up, I told her she was an entitled brat who didn't know what the real world is like, and that it isn't as easy as she makes it. I finally said that I'm never going to pay rent until I get my degree. I made her cry, and she left. Seeing her cry made me think that I may have been too blunt, but at the same time, I just gave her a reality check. But I'm feeling kind of conflicted. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Doesn't this sound like the kettle calling the pot black here, OP? You seem to very much be victimizing yourself here when she took you into her own 2-bedroom flat and has let you live there for 4 years rent-free. You're the one causing problems in your life, and you're the one refusing to find a solution here. She's been nothing but helpful and positive in your life. I don't see your parents there supporting you. It literally is her, and has been her for the past 4 years, and you go biting the hand that feeds you? You deserve to be alone if that's how you're going to treat those that care for you. That's the cold, blunt reality check that you deserve, not her. Yes, depression and anxiety suck, but you've got to stop whining and complaining and feeling sorry for yourself and actually get up and do something about it. You're the a-hole, OP. Now in the comments, Mrs. Roderick Heffley says, "You're the a-hole, and you sound entitled as F. She's trying to get you help and take care of you. You are totally freeloading. You can't just go to community college for 4 years and live off of your sister until you find what you want to do. She's just trying to relate to you with mental illness and encourage you. She clearly has a better grasp on the world than you. No wonder the family favors her." Also, hijacking the top comment, who I totally agree with by the way, to say that if you think therapy doesn't work for you, then you've obviously never found the right therapist. You should really keep trying. Therapy is a great outlet. I bet therapy doesn't work for OP because they wouldn't put the work in or engage. Could be coupled with the wrong therapist, but the entitlement displayed makes me think it's more the former reason. Exactly this. Depression is an illness that tells you not to cure it. So you can struggle or give in. You've given in, OP. It can be a struggle in itself to find the right therapist, and it's all the harder doing when you're depressed. But again, you can struggle or you can give in. I wouldn't cut any slack with a family member who had given in, whereas I would do a lot for one who was actively struggling. Your sis has been amazing to you and has tried everything with you and given you a lot of options. Let her help you or else pull your own weight in the world. You're the a-hole. And Lightwood Orchestra says, you're the a-hole. You are calling your sister entitled when she's been supporting you for 4 years while you flounder and don't get a degree? She has been generously letting you live for free while you do school. But that has dragged on far too long, and it's time for you to grow up and get a job. She also has been trying to help you get treatment for your mental health issues because you apparently refused to do so, out of the kindness of her heart. You are the entitled person in this situation, and you should look forward to being evicted quite soon. Yeah, not only that, but I have a feeling OP doesn't even help clean, cook, or do other chores around the house if his sister has to force him to get up every day. He's also never had a job, so that's 4 years where she pays utilities, rent, groceries, toiletries, etc. for 2 people, and he has the nerve to call his sister entitled. And now on to the update. So, it's been over 2 months since that falling out with my sister, and I have some news. The consensus was that I was the a-hole, a major one. I mulled over what y'all were telling me for a few hours, and eventually realized that Erin was doing for me what everyone else had done for her. So I called her to apologize, but it went to voicemail, so I just made a quick apology and asked her to call me back. The next day, her best friend Liam came over and told me to pack a couple bags and that I was going to stay at his house because Erin needed space to consider what to do with me, but didn't want me in a hotel where I could catch the big old C word. Let's just say that I disdain Liam because he's an arrogant prick, but he's always been kind to Erin. While I was at his apartment, he basically grilled me for all the same things you guys did, and said that Erin should just kick me to the streets to fend for myself because I'm only dragging her down. Everything he said was hurtful, but it was honest. I still dislike him, but I'm grateful for what he said because I know he's the one Erin vented to the most, so he probably knew most everything. Erin eventually tells me to come home because we need to talk. I thought that all my stuff would be outside, but it wasn't. I tried to apologize to her, but she sat me down and told me how much I've been hurting her, and that she hates that she feels bad because she's done everything she could for me, but I'm not trying or appreciating her. She told me that I have to agree to all her terms, or I could leave the house in a week. Her terms were to accept the job and go to the therapist that she found me. I could stay in school and stay rent-free, but I had to do these things. I agreed because that was what I had already planned to do, and then I started my job the next week. It's an easy enough job. I don't like it, and no one really makes an effort to talk to me, which is good depending on the day. I'm sticking with my therapist for now, since all the others in the area are booked. He's nice enough, and Erin is paying for all my sessions. I'm not a big fan of him, but he's definitely better than the one from high school. I do have another appointment with a psychiatrist next month, so there's that. I still feel like crap, and I dropped all my classes for this semester, and am taking a break from school next semester. Erin's been supportive, and even stayed with me for Thanksgiving, which I thought was dumb since she had already bought her plane ticket home, but I was grateful. It is nice not having to rely on her for everything, and having some money myself. All this to say that I still live with Erin, and we're getting along well. I still love her with everything in me. Best sister ever. I'm still miserable in a lot of aspects, and Erin has to force me to do a lot of things, but I'm glad I have her here to motivate me. Hopefully I can make her proud. That's all I have to say. Tiny Lolita says, Erin is the sister everyone needs. I'm glad everything is going towards a brighter future, and you two talked. Don't mess this up. Stay strong. You can count on your sister because she's proven that she's there for you and loves you so much. No one in my family cared for me as much as Erin did for you, and I'm so happy that someone like her exists. Good luck on becoming the best person you can be. I would like to piggyback here and recommend to OP that he figures out something to show his appreciation. She's super helpful and has previously voiced that she didn't feel appreciated. I don't know her, so can't say what you should do, but something that shows her efforts isn't being taken for granted. Be it a cooked dinner for her, or a present or something else, as long as it conveys the message of thank you and shows you appreciate all she's doing for you. I just want to say, OP, since at the end of your post you said, I'm still miserable in a lot of aspects and Erin has to force me to do a lot of things, but I'm glad I have her here to motivate me. Hopefully I can make her proud. Try thanking her, even if for now it's just a note that you write when you were in a good mood and leave for her to find. A simple, thank you for helping me, and maybe an, I'm sorry for what I said, go a long way, and I'm sure she will appreciate it as long as you keep putting effort to get better. Don't forget that she's still human, and she hasn't magically forgotten the harsh words you told her. She has her own mental struggles just as you do, and hearing her brother show signs of wanting to improve will surely help. It doesn't have to be a full blown-out thing confessing every sin, though it can if you want. Just anything from you that acknowledges that she's helping you, even though you've not only insulted her, but deeply hurt her feelings and you appreciate her. I also think it would be a nice gesture if OP paid Erin some nominal amount for rent, even though Erin isn't requiring it. I agree, and try cooking her a meal once a week. My mother taught me a long time ago that the best way out of a dark space is service to others. OP hasn't thought of anyone but himself in a long time. It's time to change that. People would be lucky and blessed to have a sister like Erin, who despite how her mental health is, still takes care of you. Gigi Park says, thanks for the update, but you seem to disdain pretty much everyone and everything. Have you learned from the recent events? OP is obviously still massively depressed. At least they're accepting their amazing sister's help now. I think this is about as much as we could hope from them at this stage. I think you're very correct. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for OP and a great outcome. It's also worth remembering that this is probably all new to OP. I hate having a job sometimes, and I'm very depressed sometimes, but I've grown to accept that lots of people don't like their jobs sometimes either. We all just make the best out of it and try and improve our lives where possible. Most people would quit their jobs if they could, but that's just not how it goes. That's why you have to value the important people in your life, like OP's sister, because they give you support and happiness. It's important to reciprocate that also to keep these people in your life. Easy for me and you to see, but for OP, all of this is new. Posted by user, Am I the A-hole birth twins out? Titled, Am I the A-hole for declining the invite of my older twin brothers? So, backstory. We had two sets of twins in our family. Brother A1 and 2, 27, are birth identical, and me and my sister C are not, 23 male and female. A1 and A2 are always weirdly enmeshed, and live in the same house, went to the same university, same degree also, and currently marrying together. Me and my sister are not part of their world since we were born, and I do not think my parents either. They are disturbingly the same, in like a comedic way. They would have tantrums if they were in a different class or doing a group project in different groups. You can see that they did not have friends in all of their middle and high school life. They were always acting like we did not exist in the house, and they always used our rooms like storage and trash or tried to beat us. How much our mum and dad punished them did not matter. They had the same attitude, but after we were 11, they started to be more absent than being dickheads. It was a relief, but me and my sister both felt sad for being neglected. When we were 15, they went to university, and I can say both my parents and I were relieved to see them leaving, and things got weirder. They studied the same course, which is fine I guess, but always wore the same colours every day, had everything as a duo, started to do twin dates, stuff like that. Also, I can only count on my hands the times that me and my sister were called or visited, and it's mostly holidays or some special events. We also went to the same university with them. Luckily that they graduated at the same time. But when we told people our names, most people looked at us like we were freaks, and when we asked why, a dorm leader told us that they were like a couple. They could be seen holding hands, having romantic dates, and even sometimes kissing in discreet places, and had some photos. To be honest, we were viscerally disgusted and told our parents the story. It started a fight in the extended family, and they were told they were not welcome anymore, and they left the house in 4 hours, and I've not heard from them in 6 years, until last week. Last week, Brother A1 sent me a mail saying that they're in town and wanted us to meet with his fiancée. I called him and said what we were told was still on board, and we do not want to hear from them. After this, the part comes where I might be the a-hole. His fiancée called me and asked why I was so literally mean to him, and I told the whole story. Well, now she is ex-fiancée, and my parents blame me for it. Apparently they've been to therapy, and they had their separate lives since 2017 with healthy doses of sibling bonding, and I did not know that. They were seeing my brothers for a year since March 2019. Only my sister agrees with me. Some info and a little update. A1's fiancé left him with a letter and collecting her stuff to her car, leaving in 3 hours after the talk, so it was not a fight. It was a flight, and the letter involved had some choice words against incest. A2 is currently at A1's house. I hope they don't relapse, but it would not be surprising. Me and my sister are going to stay behind, and we told our family that we do not care what they do. They understood that and shut the topic down. I do believe some people deserve second chances in many situations, and I think there are also times where, when you're getting married to someone, you might need to come clean about things. I'm not so sure A1 deserves a second chance in this situation because of not coming clean about this incident. This would be world-shattering for anyone that isn't into that stuff, I'd imagine, or just in general. And the fiancé had every right to depart that relationship. The fact they had to find out a year later from you is simply unacceptable. That alone makes you not the a-hole in this situation. Sure, there are things you don't want surfacing from your past and destroying your future relationships, but it's not as if this was never going to come to light. This was inevitable. Not the a-hole for this one, OP. Better now than never, or at least later. Now in the comments, Rolling Katamari says, "Not the a-hole. She asked and you answered. Did your brother really think that he could hide this from his fiancée?" OP replies, "If I wasn't in the call, he definitely could. This stuff is really buried in the family, and I think my parents decided to let it ride for their son to have a normal relationship." Well, that's just not fair to that girl. You did the right thing, even if they had to tell you not to tell. You would still be not the a-hole. Not the a-hole, and I swear to God I thought the fiancé was going to turn out to be the brother. My sister said this too, facepalm. I hope they did not reconcile together like the old times. It's my only concern. Not the a-hole, she asked why and you told her the truth. And no one told you about your parents trying to reconcile with them, so you also didn't know to keep your mouth shut. If I knew this, I think I would tell some hints to that girl, but not this bold and in this openness. It really needs to be on the table. I've heard of siblings falling in love in books, but have never heard of identical twins doing it, especially men. Very fascinating. The fiancé asked a straight question, and you answered honestly. If your brother didn't want to bring up the principal reason that there was a breakdown in the family, then he should not have contacted you. I really don't blame the fiancé for running, but I assume she just wanted your brother to go no contact with the twin in question, and he refused, which led to the separation. Why your parents are blaming you, I don't know. Do they think this would not have surfaced at some point? Or did they think that when enough time had passed, the woman would be too invested to leave? And OP replies, look for Milo and Elijah Peters. They are a same-sex, identical twin couple who are monogamous if they're not shooting pornographic material. Edit. I think she ran away like a runaway bride, as my parents tell the story with just a letter and gathering everything that she owns in her car and running away from the house. And now on to the update. A1's ex-fiancé called me to say thank you and for giving her a heads up. I asked her if she didn't even see something suspicious, and she said, no, they were like really good brothers. But when she started to talk about their actions, I understood that she has some issues underlined in her social relationships. She even saw that A1 and 2 sleep in the same room when they go to the triple vacations. She saw this as normal, and even found it cute when they were hugging each other while they were sleeping. I'm not talking like you moving your head to the shoulders of other people, like fully being together. A1 really manipulated her, and she accepted everything, and even liked it. When I explained everything to her, that this was not normal, she was utterly in awe, and she has some issues, to be honest, that need to be addressed by a mental health professional. My parents basically raged on me and my sister, but when they heard this, they were like, they never changed, did they? And we nodded silently. They had a serious talk, but honestly, it just made everything worse. They were like they were in a delusion and believed only they loved each other in the whole world, truly. Well, this might be right. I think they've turned on their old habits, and someone from our hometown saw them suspiciously close in their car while jogging, and this was news. So, it's basically the same situation. No one knows where they are, and we're back to square one except for one thing. I forgave them. Honestly, if they're happy with each other, I'll not care. They can live happily ever after, far away from me and my sister. My parents decided to have a civil relationship that is superficial to know what they're up to and to be ready. The only thing I know is that A2 has accepted a job offer at UK and both of them are moving there. A1 is also transferring to the UK office of his company in January. That's it. Thank you everyone for posting your answers. This saga has completely blown my mind. I really thought at first it wasn't real, like maybe just someone writing some weird fetish fantasy. But OP really sounds sincere and hasn't embellished or dramatized. Can't imagine being in a situation like OP's. I believe you've handled it well. OP replies, trust me, it's hard to imagine even for an anime or manga creator. There are people from Webtoon PMing me, asking me if they can use my story as a plot for BL genres. Oh god. Oh no. I'm seriously sorry for what you're dealing with, and I didn't mean to imply I don't believe you. I do believe you. It's just so crazy. I have a psych degree, and I actually feel really understanding of the no one will ever know me or love me like my twin concept. But it's really sad to see how your family has had to deal with the fallout of something so drastic. OP replies, nah, I got the point. I'm also making a PhD on development studies. I'm a social worker, and have an idea about the subject, but it is sad. Posted by user Imaginary Chemical 8, titled, Am I the a-hole for getting mad about my boyfriend's guy nights? So, me and my boyfriend C have the same friend group. There's 5 guys and 3 girls, including myself, who are all dating guys in this group. For context, I was introduced to the group 4 years ago, and I started dating C over a year ago. He joined a year before we dated. Anyway, onto the story. So the boys in my friend group have started a thing called Guys Night, where they go out and do everything we all do together, but without us girls. Here's the thing. All of my friends are the boys. I don't know the girls in the group too well, and while I have friends outside the group, I'm nowhere near as close with them as I am with this group. They say they need to spend some quality time with their friends, and that if I went, they would have to invite their girlfriends too. And it's not every so often. It's every 2 weeks on a Saturday, which is the one day I can go out. So basically, while my boyfriend goes out with all my friends, I have to be stuck at home by myself. And what's worse is when we all do hang out, they constantly bring up stuff that happened on guys' night, saying, "You had to be there." This has been going on for months. Last night, my boyfriend came over to mine from the guys' night really happy, and was texting his friends when I asked him why I couldn't go. He made a vague gesture at my chest and crotch, saying I wasn't a guy. I then asked him why he couldn't skip it to spend the night with me, and he rolled his eyes. I lost it. I started crying and screaming at him, calling him an a-hole for allowing me to be completely isolated when I've told him how crappy it is. He ended up leaving and called me a bear. He's staying with one of our friends who's saying I was being the a-hole for yelling at him that way. The girls all agree with me though, and I don't know if I should apologize. Edit. I feel like everyone is confusing what I'm saying. I'm not mad that he has his own hobbies. That's amazing. I'm just upset that I'm being excluded because of my gender from my friends who I introduced him to. I've been told explicitly this by him and his friends. Also, we don't live together, and I only see him a few times a week. Edit 2. I should also add my boyfriend sees all his friends during the week, but they schedule guys' night on the one night I can go out. As I said in a comment, I see him 2 to 3 times a week, and he sees them at least 4 times. 5 on guys' night. I see my friends once a fortnight. Considering the circumstances in those edits, I see you're justified in being upset about not spending time with the friends when they all get together. Potentially this is a rock and a hard place situation, because if the girlfriends found out, it would be a double standard for sure. I don't know a good solution to this one, but you definitely aren't doing anything to be an a-hole here. Venting your frustration and seeking that connection with your group that he gets in spades and you barely ever get is not an a-hole thing to do. So yeah, you're not the a-hole. Now in the comments, MME Brightside says, "Not the a-hole. And I can't believe how many people are being dicks about it after having misread your post and with you clearly stating multiple times in the comments, 1. You don't have a problem with him hanging with the guys per se, 2. You don't live together, and 3. You're upset because literally the only time you have free to spend with your friends happens to fall on the same night you are being excluded from the friend group. You are not the a-hole. But the people posting here that you are, without taking the time to think critically before responding to beat you up, are the a-holes. And if your guy can't see that, he is selfish. If your guy friends can't see that, get new friends because they suck. Good luck." OP replies, "Thank you for looking at it objectively. I appreciate that." I mean, if the one person out of 15 telling you this answer is the one you think is objective, and you're just arguing with everyone else, you're not actually looking for opinions or advice. You just want affirmation, which is not the point of the sub. And OP replies, "That isn't what I meant. But everyone seems to be arguing about things that aren't true. The truth is, I can see my boyfriend and my friends once a week, and they choose to instead have a boys' night. They hang out during the week as well. We don't live together, I see him maximum 3 times during the week, and 2 if he goes straight home after the boys' night. Why can you only see them once a week? I said in previous replies that I work full-time, and I'm a carer to my grandpa. I can go out Saturdays as my grandpa's friend comes over. Sounds like your boyfriend should come visit once or twice a week, get to know your grandpa, and spend some time with you. All in all, I'd say you're stretching yourself real thin, but he isn't doing much to accommodate you. Sounds like he's 5 times more committed to his BFFs than to his girlfriend." AmITheA says, "Everyone sucks here, but only slightly. This is just an awful situation all around. You can't expect to be included in everything. They are allowed to have a boys' night out. But I do suggest you find some new friends though, as they clearly don't look at you as a close friend the same way you look at them. If they purposefully exclude you half the time you can go out, that should tell you a thing or two about how they feel about you. Also, your boyfriend sounds like an a-hole. Gesturing to your body and using that as an excuse just made my blood boil. I absolutely hate it when people do that. So yeah, find new friends, people who actually care about you and want to spend time with you. And OP replies, I'm trying, but I'm struggling in the pandemic. The thing is that my friends say they want to invite me, but if they do, then they'll have to invite their girlfriends. Why do they have to invite their girlfriends? If you've been in the group longer than your boyfriend, it's natural that you would be invited. Looks to me like you're just a +1 to them. Because the girlfriends are annoyed at it as well and want to go. Sucks to be their girlfriends. So they're excluding you because their girlfriends can't allow them a day to just hang with their friends, including yourself? That's some weak sauce logic, not the a-hole. And now on to the update. So about 2 weeks ago, I posted here asking if I was the a-hole for getting mad at my boyfriend for his guy nights. The post didn't get a lot of attention, but the attention it did get was controversial, and there was a lot of differing opinions, so I figured I'd do an update as a lot has happened. So after I posted, I ended up contacting the girlfriends in the group to see what was up, and we started noticing some fishy stuff. Their boyfriends and the guys in the group would say the exact same things to them as they did to me. Stuff like, we'd invite you, but then the other girls will want to come. We also figured out that there were other nights that all the guys were free, but they wanted to do Saturdays for some reason. One of the girls, H, was suspicious for this and many other reasons, so she checked her boyfriend's phone. I don't condone what she did at all, by the way, but in this circumstance I excuse it. While looking, she found a group chat called Boys Night, which she had never heard of. She was super suspicious at this point and clicked it to be greeted by a bunch of very interesting messages from the boys in our group. Well, guess what? Turns out guys' night was really go to a pub and cheat on your girlfriend night. The message was in reference to one of the girls my boyfriend was sleeping with last week. In fact, all the other guys except one were cheating, while the other knew but kept quiet. Another lovely discovery from the chat was that he hasn't been using protection with the other women or with me, birth control. Meaning, not only has he been cheating, he's also been putting me at a high risk of an STD, while also risking mine and my elderly grandfather's life because of the pandemic. Needless to say, we've broken up and I feel better for it. But right now, I'm friendless, single, and waiting on STD results, which doesn't feel fantastic. So yup, definitely not the update I was hoping to do, but life clearly doesn't turn out the way you plan. Edit. Wow, I really was not expecting this response. Thank you for all the kind words. I'm at work at the moment and will try to respond as much as possible, but from the bottom of my heart, thank you all. And also, thank you for the award. I'm very overwhelmed by all the kindness. Edit 2. Thank you again for all the kindness. I just thought that I'd add a few things. 1. The pandemic isn't bad where I am, in Oz, but when we hang out we social distance with masks. You can't social distance during sex, which is where my fear of the pandemic comes from. 2. One of the girls dumped her boyfriend, who wasn't cheating but knew, and the other took him back. He was cheating. And finally, 3. I'm STD free. I got a call an hour ago and am so completely relieved. Now I can start to move on. Now in the comments, Miss Hillrose says, "This sucks, but at least you know now and can be better off without him, and the rest of your so-called friends. Maybe you could try and make friends with the ex-girlfriends now." I will say though, as someone who had friends who turned out to be not so great, don't feel like the spent time with them before your boyfriend was wasted. Were you happy with them? Did you have fun? Don't think of it as wasted time then. Just time with people who turned out not so great. I'm not saying to forgive them, forgive yourself. I'm just saying don't regret or be angry with yourself for having a good time with people who turned out to not be as nice as you thought. Enjoy your memories and don't let them taint them, or you'll live in regret. Edit. Thanks for the awards, kind stranger. This is something I tell myself when I'm struggling sometimes. I'm so glad that it's helped other people too. And OP says, thanks, I'll try. You get to start 2021 with a nice, fresh, and clean slate with less drama and garbage in your life. I know it probably doesn't feel like it right now, but I 100% guarantee you that this is actually a great blessing in disguise. Your ex-boyfriend and his friends are crappy birds flocking together. Not even going to talk about the morals of that one guy who didn't cheat because he's guilty by association and didn't do the right thing. I don't know if anything changed between you and the girls who the boys cheated on. Sometimes women bond and have great friendships when something this crappy happens to them, especially with a cheating pact. Honestly, I've heard of pregnancy pacts, but cheating? Wow, that's a new low for cheaters. It's better finding out now than to find out years down the line that your boyfriend was cheating and continued to cheat. You've wasted enough time with him already. Don't let his stupidity plague your mind. Chin up and walk forth. Show him you can do much better than him. I hope the cheater's parents find out how horrible their child had turned out. Must be a disappointing Christmas family gathering later. Hopefully you get a clean bill of health and get wrapped in happiness soon, like a burrito. Not the a-hole. I'm so sorry. I remember this post and how negative some people seem to get towards you for being a bit frustrated that your boyfriend was excluding you from nights out with your friends group. I'm sorry it turned out to be even crapper than you thought, but the silver lining is the a-hole is out of your life forever and you won't spend your life with him second-guessing yourself and wondering if you're going crazy for being suspicious. Good for you for trusting your instincts and not letting him act as if you were the crazy a-hole. So you've lost crappy friends. You will find new, better ones. Most people aren't as terrible as them. Posted by user Migachi, titled, Would I be the a-hole for not telling my in-laws that we will be moving out of their place until last minute? I, 28 female, lived rent-free with my husband and 2 kids in a 2-bed flat that is owned by my husband's parents. This has obviously been amazing because we've been able to save, and we're in a prime location for work and school. The problem came in when my husband's parents moved down the road from us. They used to live a 2-hour drive away, but decided they wanted to be closer to grandkids. All of this would be fine, except one, we are very private and don't see much of any family. We did make them aware that it didn't matter if they lived down the road, we would not be seeing them more than we already did, but they're not happy about it now they have moved. 2, my husband's mother is mentally unwell, but undiagnosed. She has outbursts and usually calls and texts us saying horrible things. 3, my in-laws use money and possessions as a way to control their kids. 4, my husband's sister, 35 female, lives with his parents and she has bipolar. She's not on medication or even signed up with a doctor and is very aggressive. She has come to our place and tried to force her way in more than once this year, and last time that happened about 2 months ago, and she ended up shouting at me in front of the neighbors and telling us that we had to get out of her flat and she will be calling lawyers. After that interaction with his sister happened, we decided we needed to move out. We're tired of having this place held over us and we need to take back control. We found a 4-bed house that we can afford not too far from where we are now, and we are set to move in mid-October. We've told his parents that we will be moving out after the incident happened, but otherwise we've not brought it up. Would I be the a-hole if I didn't tell them that we've found a place until after we have moved, bearing in mind that we're living in their flat? I don't blame you in the slightest for getting away from those people. That's a trip and a half that you've experienced dealing with that crazy family, and any sane person would be out of that door as anonymously and swiftly as humanly possible. Don't feel bad that you jump ship as soon as you do. Your family comes first and you guys deserve safety. Your mother-in-law having undiagnosed and untreated mental illness is just bad news all round. That's a serious danger to you and your family that you shouldn't have to deal with. No wonder you were happy with keeping the visits to a minimum, because I would too. Using money and possessions to control your kids is another huge red flag. I feel like no normal family seeks to control kids. Maybe in other people's experiences that's a normal thing, but I don't think it should be, plain and simple. Sure, they're gonna be pissed that you escaped them, but that sounds like a them problem, not the a-hole. Now in the comments, Mera1506 says, not the a-hole. They sound toxic AF. Some real boundaries need to be set and stuck with, or they'll walk all over you. That's what we are doing. They've gotten away with a lot over the years, and we let a lot of it go because they have helped financially, and we don't feel like we can say anything. Just not worth it anymore, not now the kids are seeing the toxic behavior themselves. Not the a-hole. Sounds like you guys aren't close to them anyways. They might decide to move to the same area if you guys tell them too early. And OP replies, we actually are usually close because they're great-grandparents. I am worried that they will move closer to us again, so don't really want them to know the new address for a while. I say do whatever is best for your family. If that means keeping the address a secret for a while, then go ahead. I'll say not the a-hole. And Kikiva says, not the a-hole. You already said that it would be happening, so no need. Also, the reason you normally give warning is so the rental income stream isn't interrupted, but if you're not paying in the first place, that ceases to be an issue. And OP replies, that's what I thought. They wouldn't be missing out on any money with us leaving. Only thing is, they would still need to get the place ready for new tenants. It sounds like you notified them after the last incident with sister-in-law and gave enough notice from my reading. The only hang-up might be that the notice was not in writing and you didn't give a specific move-out date. Just make sure the place is cleaned thoroughly and in good repair after you move out, since it was rent-free. I would go as far as shampoo carpets and repaint walls given the consideration, as these are typical landlord's to-dos after a move-out. Document as such with video, especially if you think they would be upset and cause trouble. And OP replies, I don't think they knew we were serious, but we definitely did tell them, and it was via text, so does that count as in writing? We've already started the cleanup and recently painted. A lot of things are broken, and have been for a long time. We tell them about it, but they never do anything, and we don't feel like we're in a position to keep asking. We have fixed a lot ourselves since living here. I very much doubt they will have any tenants after us, to be honest. They also have a bungalow that they moved into for about a year before they realized it was too small, and that has sat empty for 2 years now. And now on to the update. So we finally moved in a few weeks ago. It was later than expected, but pleased that we're in for Christmas. The new landlords are lovely, and I've never had this much space in my life. The kids don't know what to do with themselves. Everyone was very helpful in the last post, so much appreciated to everyone that commented. On to the update. I was still unsure about whether or not to tell them, and spoke with my husband many times about it. He was very against telling them because he was unsure about how they would react, and as he put it, they are not normal, so we cannot treat this like a normal situation. So in the end, we decided not to tell them. I was worried they'd see us driving in a U-Drive van around, but luckily we weren't spotted, and the move went smoothly. Once we had moved, my husband tried to call, but his mum was avoiding him and hanging up. He spoke to his brother Steve about it, and it turns out Steve had set up a Zoom call for their sister Samantha, the sick one that lives with his parents, with a doctor. Unsure what kind of doctor, who basically had told them that she needed medication. Duh. And my husband's mum thought he was calling to gang up on her about it. Very long story short, she eventually picked up the phone and my husband told her that we're moving out in 2 days, which is today. You guys, she was so happy. She was really excited for the extra space for the kids, saying all of the things she should have said. We've invited her and my father-in-law over for Christmas Eve for a socially distanced drink in the new place. All good, right? Nope. Now the messages have started about how we have taken the grandkids away. She wouldn't have moved here, and she may as well move away now because we never see her, and we need to come to theirs as well for Christmas. after seeing whatever we want is fine with her because, pandemic. And it's not fair on my eldest son, Oscar. My mum gets to see us whenever she wants, quote she doesn't, and she's going to give Oscar's toys that she has at her place to a nice young couple that had come over. Obviously a lie, etc, etc, etc. If history is anything to go by, the phone calls will start up soon and the abusive messages. I think it's safe to say we've made the right decision in not telling them until we'd actually moved in. We're enjoying the drama far away, and we're not worrying about locking the doors and having them turn up, which is just wonderful. Happy holidays, everyone. Now in the comments, Practical Heart 7287 says, cut them off, go no contact, and your life will be so much better. I know, but it's my husband's parents and ultimately his decision. My son also loves them. If they start the mental mind games, or whatever they do with your son, he will be better off without them. Yeah, I know. I always keep a close eye on them with him, and he's aware that Gran can be dramatic. There's ways that you can point out their behavior to your kids to insulate them from them. I've said things to my kids like, gifts that come with strings attached aren't gifts. They're obligations, and if someone won't hear your no, they don't have your best interests at heart. With the way your mother-in-law is talking, I would say things to your kids like, if someone is being manipulative and trying to make you feel bad, they are doing that to make themselves feel better, not to make you feel better. People that care about you usually want the best for you. If something is yours, it's not okay for someone else to give it away. General boundary and autonomy stuff. And OP replies, that's really good wording. You put it simply but in depth. Very nice. I think I will use these. Thank you for your input. G'day there guys, and that's the end of today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed it and were entertained by today's bloody good content. As always, I want to do a quick shout out and a thank you to all my channel members and Patreon subscribers. Your beautiful faces and names will be up on screen right now. Haven't forgot about you guys, sorry I was taking a little break there. So yeah, if you see yourself, give yourself a pat on the back. If you want to be on this screen, there's links down to the description below where you can sign up and help support the channel and all future projects that I'm going to be doing on this one. With all that said, I hope you guys have an amazing day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to. I'll see you in the next episode, and I do hope you enjoy it. Thank you.